Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Wow Podcast. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway, and we have a fantastic guest on the line, Angela Orlando. She's the author of The Daily Abuse, Women's Account of Sexual Violations. Angela, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So before we tear into your book and talk about what's going to happen with this book, I want you to tell the listeners, why did you want to write books in general?
Well, I was a journalist for many years, and I still am, but then I went ahead and got education in anthropology, and so I got my bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in that field because it allowed me to travel the world and, write people's lived experiences from their perspective.
So tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, as the Me Too movement grew more and more prevalent in my social media feeds, I realized that I don't know any woman or very many men who don't have a story like that. And so I thought, well, what can I do? Of course I have stories as well, but I think what needed to be done was to collect the stories and anthologize them and provide a platform for women around the world, not just the U.S., to, speak their truth. And one of the things that I've been noticing subsequently is that a lot of the people coming forward are women who were abused by men in powerful situations. And this book allows people to tell their stories that were in positions where, it's like an everyday experience, like ogling or groping on the bus or workplace unwanted background, that kind of stuff that's equally as damaging as some of the celebrity accounts that we're getting.
What do you think you can achieve by making this book?
Well, I think that it will ideally be cathartic for the women who are telling their stories, but also I think that the only way that we can change the world is by speaking our truth, right? By communicating our experiences. And so maybe readers can go, oh my gosh, that happened to this lady in Kuwait, and something similar happened to my sister. And this is like really not just a big problem, but it's a pervasive and huge problem. And perhaps just bringing attention to it can make it subside or stop. Realizing how much it hurts people can maybe make people think twice before they grab a woman's butt.
Right. So how many stories do you need?
It just depends. Right now I only have about 20, but I just started this project in October. And so I'm seeking more and more because I want to show the breadth, the diversity of experiences. So I'm going to be accepting submissions until February 14, 2018. So I'm not going to publish all of them, but I am making a blog for people who want to be published who, for whatever reason, can't be represented in the book itself.
So what sorts of challenges have you faced creating this book?
That's a very interesting question. I've actually experienced a great deal of backlash from friends, for example, who think that I'm doing more harm than good by providing a voice. But also from men who say, why aren't you including men in this? And I had to think a couple of times about that because, of course, these things happen to men as well. Of course. But also, I don't know if it's necessarily my place to create a space for men's stories of violation. That doesn't invalidate them, but I have experienced even some blowback with regard to word choice because it used to be called sexual molestation accounts. But then some people said that that wasn't strong enough to encompass all of the experiences that we go through on a quotidian basis. I've had blowback from friends about not being a licensed therapist capable of anthologizing this book. I've had blowback from men and blowback from victims. So other challenges include funding. I don't need much money to get this off the ground, but I did a Kickstarter before, and it didn't go through, but I started a new one, and now it's half funded.
What's the difference between this book and similar anthologies/websites?
Well, it is one, its proceeds are going to charities, so there's that. One of the charities actually is a very similar endeavor. It's called A Voice for the Innocent, and it's provided a platform online and in person for women to tell their stories. And also, one of the differences between mine and others is this emphasizes inclusivity in that I really encourage people who self-identify as women to submit their stories, not just, cis women. But also it's showing the international perspective. I have one story from a woman who was trafficked in Bali, sex trafficked as a child in Indonesia. And then the third thing I think that differentiates it is it's these everyday experiences, not with a producer or a senator or, a director. It's the everyday lady who lives this experience in the public space every single day.
Where can we learn more about the Kickstarter campaign, your website, and how you can be found on social media?
Well, as far as the book's website, I have presence on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and all of these are under hashtag The Daily Abuse. I believe there's an underscore in there, but it's pretty easy to find. The Kickstarter is the same thing. You can Google Kickstarter, The Daily Abuse, and two campaigns will come up. One that didn't succeed, and then two, the one that's extremely successful right now. And then also I own a business called Women's Wilderness Writing Workshops, where we do writing workshops around the world in accessible wilderness settings. So even people with limited mobility can go. But under that website, there's a tab specifically for the book. And that website is www.wilderwriters.com. So WILDER writers. And then story submitters can email me directly with their stories. And that email address is Angela@wilderwriters.com. So ANGELA@wilderwriters.com. And also the submission guidelines are all over the web on all of those platforms.
You're listening to the WOW Podcast. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway, and we're speaking to author Angela Orlando. She's the author of The Daily Abuse, Women's Account of Sexual Violations. Angela, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise. I hope you have a wonderful day and a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you.